Here we go.
Farm Companion. That timing is like, we got it. Got it down.
Trying to do the math. It's June.
29th.
It's June if you're listening to this. It's June 1st.
Yep.
Wow.
June 1st?
Yeah.
Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
29th today. Yesterday was my
anniversary.
9-year wedding anniversary.
Next year's the big one, number 10.
It's the big one.
I saw a stat the other day. It was like, it's like 40% of marriages make it to 10 years.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
40%.
It was nuts.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are over in the first 5.
I would assume
First
so.
2 to 5 probably is when most of them.
Yeah, probably. First 2.
Yeah. You'd like to think that if you make it over 10,
you're good.
Unless you're one of those keep it together for the kids kind of a situation.
There's a lot of them, too.
I know a lot of those.
There's a lot of them, too.
Those are weird. Those are like when people get divorced after like 25 years of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are you doing?
Because they find out the other one's gay.
Yeah, well, you have that, I guess.
You hear that?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, the keep it together for the kids thing is yeah. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one. I think the kids are smart enough to see it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily expose them to what marriage should be like.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Well, number 10, you got to do something big next year.
Yeah, I know.
That was the first. Yeah, that's the first time we went to Curacao. Was for our 10th.
10 year?
Yeah. I was just like, got to pick somewhere cool to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be really something. If I could get her pulled away from the Dairy Mart for like a whole week during the season.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
I do think once we get Ryan back, it's feasible. This year's tough because we're, covering that, but.
I think it's necessary.
Necessary?
That's a great time to have like just a week mental reset.
Agreed.
Come back on fire, finish it out the season.
Yep. Yeah. It's just tough. I mean, as much confidence as I've got in Ryan and Maggie and those people to be able to run it, there's still things that like if something were to happen, it's like you'd rather want to be like in distance to be able to fix it.
Therein lies the downfall of running your own business.
Yeah.
It's the always being available, and in your case, different. Like in my case, I could be available from Curacao. Like if I need to get on a computer and do something, it's as good as me being there. In your case, like it's physical location.
Yeah, and we've got enough security there, and like people that I can call, vendors and stuff that I think will take care of us. But it's just you want to be covered. It's an obligation to your customers is what it is. I mean, I don't want to lose money, but my biggest fear is like
customers support.
Yeah, I mean they rely on you to be there and to have so.
Yeah, you see that pain when you guys like lose power or something, and you're like, hey, we gotta shut down.
Yeah,
can't do anything.
Yeah,
can't make ice cream.
Yeah,
not gonna be out here churning it.
Yeah,
by hand.
Yeah, we did some product market research. Is what we call it last night when we go to other ice cream shops.
Yeah.
We went to it's called Auntie's or something in Green Tree.
Okay.
Hard serve.
Hard serve.
Decent.
Yeah.
Pretty decent.
You have to wear a mask and like a fake mustache?
No.
People, they don't realize who you are?
I don't think so. They may recognize her from time to time.
Margie just wears a big Pages shirt going in. She's like,
pretty unrecognizable because she's all dolled up from coming from dinner last night as opposed to day-to-day.
Day-to-days.
Shirt. So
yeah.
We went to, I think it's called Gocha's in downtown.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. I made a reservation just out of like so many times I haven't, and I'm like,
this is a thing.
So I made one for like 4:00, which apparently is early.
Yeah,
because we get there and like there's nobody there.
Oh yeah,
like it was just us.
Yeah,
and
you're like reserve the whole place for us.
Yeah, locked it down, babe. And it wasn't nearly as fancy as for some reason I was expecting, just because of the price point and like the way it was described to me. But the food was off the charts. Yeah, it was really good.
Why'd you guys go early? Because that's usually like Jeremy eats dinner at 4.
I don't know. That didn't seem early to me when I booked it. I was just like, I guess in my mind too, I'm like, we like to have time to get home and chill.
Yeah.
I want to, so if we're back on the couch with the dogs
like
at
6:30 or 7. Yeah.
Time to get ice cream. I looked. I was like, hey, if there's a good movie playing, like maybe we'll go to a movie. But there never is. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Started watching that Siren show that you recommended.
It gets better.
Yeah. Really? It was a little slow to start.
Mm-hmm. So it's really good.
I'm slow to binge. Like I don't binge. I'm a one episode a night type of guy.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'll get there.
I'm a binger.
I'll get there in a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Stick with it. It's a good one.
Okay.
Oh, Kevin Bacon.
I like Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
River Wild. Great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah. Really good movie.
He's a great bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's June now. If you're listening to this, we were just popping velvet pictures back and forth and coming up with plans. And it's like, everything's in the ground, right? I guess Switch additional Switch is the only other thing.
Oh, look, I got rid of it. You can tell I had a farmer's channel.
It's still there.
Yeah. I've been intentionally working out on the deck with my shirt off.
Yeah.
It's
still there.
Try to bring it back here.
Still there.
Yeah, I got
because you drilled your beans the day after I finished, right?
Yeah.
So that was Sunday? No.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday's when I went up? Or
yeah, because I started Friday night. I drilled all my corn Friday night in Kentucky, and then I did all my beans on Saturday. You got the drill, I think, on Saturday, and you drilled on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you drill the switch?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's a lot.
I mean, it was like no exaggeration. It was 10 straight hours on the tractor. I got there at and I wanted to be, we got the drill, like you said, I think on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like when you get the call. So Troy, the neighbor, texted me and was like, hey, I'm dropping it off.
Yeah, he sent me a picture, like, got the drill. I was like, yeah, I just had finished up.
Yep. And I looked at the forecast, looked like we had rain coming Monday, like Monday, Tuesday. So I'm like, all right, go time. So I booked it over there Sunday, probably got there around like 11:30 or noon. It always just takes time to get the drill hooked up and calibrated and everything. Mm-hmm. Frankly, this freaking
what were they using it for? Beans?
He was drilling something into his hay field.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what, but got the adjustment dialed in. Those hydraulic hoses gave me some real trouble. Can you see this bruise on my arm?
Yeah, I do. Did it blow off?
It's from trying to.
Oh.
I couldn't figure out how to like relieve the pressure on it. Like so on a bat wing, you know what I mean? It's like I can take a ratchet strap and pull the two wings together to relieve the pressure off the hoses. That drill has two stoppers that you put on the hydraulic arms on either side that should do the same thing. So when you set it down, it should take the pressure off there, but it wasn't for some reason. And there's a lot of pressure on those things. So I had to like put a rag over it and jam it against the thing to slowly relieve
the pressure.
More, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Turn it off, I'm dry.
Yeah. And so it took me 45 minutes probably to get the hose.
Just milking it.
Just, horsing it on. You know how you get frustrated with something and got to regroup a couple times. Oil all over me.
Just so lubed.
Yeah. And so got her calibrated. I ran, as opposed to previously, remember we ran it on the first gear all wide open for about 80 pounds an acre.
Yep.
I ran it on the second gear around 55 or something like that, I think, which had me at like 88 to 89 to 95 pounds an acre. Mm-hmm. And I was perfect. I ended up putting 19 bags down on 10 acres.
Wow.
So 80 to 90 pounds an acre is about what I went for.
Yep. That sounds right. That's what I did this year on Kentucky as well, as I went 80 to 90 pounds.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So get that all in. That field looks great. We just, it's a little longer than I try to have between spraying and
That's
seeding.
In the center.
I could have seeded 2 weeks ago. What's that?
That's in the center over by the water hole and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, your main one?
Yep. It's a 10 acre.
But you did the pre-emergent, right? Do you think that helped?
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. There's the only green in that plot is, and I kind of forgot this from last year, is there's some mare's tail.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Some horseweed, and it may have been coming up already when I put the pre-emerge down, or maybe it just blew right through it. That stuff's tough.
It's tough.
So I may have to do like an enlist bean in the future. That's probably like 1.5 of the 10 acres has that in it now.
I mean, is it heavy? Like enough that it's gonna?
No, but that stuff gets.
I mean, I assume when you go back and you gly your beans and you fertilize, like it may not kill it, but it's gotta slow it down, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
it yellows a little bit and then it just keeps going. Mm-hmm. That stuff's tough. You need like a Liberty or a 2 feet for D. That's why I think that
too much to spot spray though.
Yeah. If anything, again, it won't kill it either. But I could go in the next week or two and frankly, I probably will when I go mow those clover plots.
Just try to throw a mower over top.
Mow it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just set them back down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just try to get the beans up over them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's all you can do. So, and I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, well, I sprayed that whole field in 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm like, that's, in my mind. But to drill it, it took me, legitimately 4 hours probably to drill that.
Yep. Yeah, because I think that's what I was looking at on mine. I was doing about 1.5 acres per hour in drilling. Mm-hmm. Is what it ended up being on my side.
What are you running on your gears?
Low 3.
Low. You have a high and a low.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So I'm low 3.
I was on B4.
How many sets do you have? A, B, C?
D.
Oh, we got 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So just like Chris's, the highest you'd want to go would be like a C1.
Yep.
At the low economy setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we were probably similar. Low 3.
About 4.5 miles an hour. That's what that was. 4.9 on the high end.
Yeah. So that'd be about, because I was doing 1.5 acres per hour.
Yep. Yeah, we're close.
Yep.
Close for sure. So yeah, I got all those beans in. I'm always like, just it's makes me feel good to get the right amount of seed down. Mm-hmm. I didn't have too much and run out.
Everything was drilling good.
Yeah.
Felt good.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Checking my spacing out there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked really good. So once I got that finished up,
are you doing full 7.5-inch spacing?
Yeah.
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 I see a lot of people doing like 15-inch rows and stuff. I think my deer would just plow those things.
Why would you do that?
I think just less competition.
Oh.
So try to get just like brassicas, try to get fuller plants, individual plants.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. We keep going real heavy on the beans and it's seeming to work really well. We put it,
again, we're not looking for maximum bushels per acre as much as we are just like green, they don't mow them down, and pod production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've got no shortage of yield. It looks good.
Well, clearly you saw the other thing I dealt with was I had a ton of volunteer bean coming up.
Yeah.
Like to the point I was like, that's crazy. Like, yeah. It's because of all of the pods that were left over from last year that shattered into the ground.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Nope, drilled right into them.
Yeah.
In fact, most of where those were is where I put corn, which is great because it's fixing nitrogen where I'm putting corn.
Yeah.
So that should help out a lot.
It's awesome. The soil was also perfect. Like, it had rained a few days before and stuff, but it hit enough sun and it dried out pretty nice. That drill turns it over pretty good. It almost looks like you run over it with a disc a little bit.
So does mine. I was noticing that when I was doing mine, like it's not like hard soil direct line type thing. Like it is very broken up type, which probably is why you get some weeds and grasses growing up afterwards. You had some disturbance there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't think it matters.
Look good. So I put those beans in at probably like 1 inch to 1.5 inches depth, and then I went and picked up my the switch blend, which was the Northern Perma switch cover from Pure Wildlife, I think. And I put that down at about 5 pounds to the acre, and so that switched to the small seed box on that. Again, it was just like in Illinois, I was between like a 25 and 30 setting, and I kept kind of micro adjusting it to see where I was at. I did
that's only got one gear, right? No.
One gear. Yep. Did that like an acre at a time, and that worked out really, really perfect. That field's toast, nuked.
Yep. And how many acres is that field?
There is a 3, a 2, a 1, a 1.5. Like it's kind of all fingered out there. What I'm excited about is not the amount of switch, but the amount of edge that's created by all that. Because it's not like I have a 7-acre block.
Yeah.
It's like I have a lot of like little fingers and back and forth and in and out, and it's gonna be
that's awesome.
Pretty sweet.
I bet you get some pretty good growth out of that, just knowing that's nuked and not gonna have any competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just I didn't have an overabundance of seed on that, so I really was trying to be careful about like not running out ahead of time. And dude, the hours just kept passing, and I'm like, it's going well, and I'm like, it
takes time,
all according to schedule here, but before you know it, it's getting dark, and then before you know it, it's like 9:30, and then it's like 11. I didn't get off the tractor till like 11:30. I don't think.
Yeah,
I started
and
at 1.
It isn't easy with that drill to, in a no-till situation to drill into the night, because I was doing that the first night with corn, and fortunately, like you said, it has enough disruption of the soil that I could see my lines better.
I could see, there was no question.
Yeah,
I could have done it all night probably.
I couldn't see that.
That was the 706 NT.
606 or 706.
Yeah, 3.
It's not a 3-point though, right? It's a toe.
It's a pull.
Hydraulic pull. Yeah,
which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like that more from a turning standpoint. It seems like it takes turns better
for sure.
But you have to count for it backing up.
Yep.
You got to back it up like a trailer.
Yep.
So it's just
you couldn't haul that as easily.
No, it's big.
Yeah. Well, just in terms of like it being on a trailer with a tractor.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you would do that.
That's where the 3-point, like the 606, has a big advantage.
Yeah. I did also, so I ended that with, it was one of those things where I'm like, it's like 10:30. I had this one other spot I wanted. I'm like, okay, sure. And so I did. I went and drilled switch, and I put some of that deer fence in.
Yep.
For the
for screening,
grassy knoll.
Yep. Yeah, that shit will take off.
Frickin' did the whole thing, and then realized that I didn't engage the seed thing. I'm like, son of a bitch. It was like 10, 11 o'clock at that point. I'm like, here, just do it again.
Do it all again.
And at that point, I can't see that well.
Yeah.
Did the whole thing again. Checked my seed box. I'm like, I don't know if I put as much, because it's a bigger seed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
It'll be fine.
So, yeah, I may have to broadcast a little bit more on that, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's the only thing I didn't do, is I'm going to go back and spray our quinchloric cocktail over my switch. I might mow it, honestly, first, and then spray it a couple weeks later. I don't know.
I would do it.
Or spray it and then mow it?
Either way. I would. You want to spray while you get young weeds.
Yep. So maybe I'll spray it. Maybe I don't need to mow it. Maybe I'll just spray it. I was just looking at the edge side of it from a clean.
I'm with you. I got some of that to do too.
But maybe I'll just spray. Maybe I'll just spray it and see. And then I was going to drop my drill and try to just drill some extra into those areas that I know that it's coming up well.
Just
broadcast.
If there's rather than running over it, I'll just throw some in there.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, I've got that, but I do need to drill. I didn't put any of the deer fence in yet. I'm going to do that here in June.
Yeah.
So spray and do that, and then I don't know what. I guess I'll wait till mid to end of June to spray beans.
I'd give you 4 to 6 weeks after you plant them. So
yep.
I'll probably spray mine 3rd week of June.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, at least everything's... And then we got a really good rain here in the last handful of days.
Yep.
I was looking, I think I got 1.6 or 1.7 inches down there, something like that.
Yep.
So...
Dude, I got some of that switch from last year. I mean, it's like 2.5, 3 foot tall right now.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, just exploding.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's not perfectly clean. Like there's some pokeweed I see coming up in there. Some of that mare's tail is next to it there. There's some of that creeping in there. But overall, I'm like, there's a lot of switch in there.
Mine is mostly Johnson grass I've got coming up in there, which I'm hoping quinchloric will take care of.
I think it will.
But other than that, everything else looks pretty solid.
Dude, we've talked a lot about the because we figured it out this year. We're like, hey, spring, like late March, early April, you can spray those cool seasons. We've known this kind of, but I didn't realize. So like a fall spraying also will kill cool season grasses. What I don't think that I realized until recently is that those warm seasons also go dormant. Like it sounds like at a similar time frame as the
like in an October, November
as your
time frame?
broadleaves. Yeah,
really.
So you can also spray cool seasons out of warm seasons
in the late fall.
In the fall, yeah.
I didn't know that either because I know that they're very active in like August, September, October, even.
Yeah.
So I think, is it like November?
Yeah.
Or December?
Yeah, like
November,
late October, early November sometime.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would obviously from a standpoint, I'd feel more comfortable doing it in March,
Spring.
April.
Yeah.
Right, but that makes sense from a cool season thriving and those warm seasons going dormant.
From a drone standpoint, I think that as long as we can confirm the dates and feel good about that, I think that makes sense to do this fall.
Okay. Yeah, just
like
to
in
spray those.
that lower field and stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I think if we can go out and get that disc running,
Mm-hmm.
I think we plan on a burn next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think that's the big one. You know, because even
Burn, Jeremy, and potentially in some of those other fields that don't have so much warm season in them, we drill.
Yep.
We burn and we drill.
like the ones behind the house and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
You think burn those as well?
I think so.
Just because they're smaller, I don't know.
Don't have to. I guess we can make the call on that, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I think that's the biggest part, because you can control all the weeds you want. At the end of the day, there's still thatch that needs to be taken off.
yeah, and frankly, who knows? Maybe we don't need to. I mean, it's not that thick of thatch, I don't think. So I mean, if we can burn it down,
I think that big field needs burned for sure.
Yeah,
just because it was mowed multiple times, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's probably all just like, well, you can see it's just, you can't see any bare dirt in between those pieces.
Yeah.
Which is what you'd want in between the bunch grasses.
I wonder if they can seed with those drills too. With those,
You can.
that'd be something to look at too. I don't think the drill is absolutely necessary. I think if you could spray
And just aerial seed it.
and aerial seed,
You definitely can. I've seen a lot of people doing that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be a good option on a lot of those pieces. Well, that'd be cool. I'm excited to see what your switch in Ohio will look like, the new stuff especially.
Me too.
Like that's a big chunk of what was just wasteland.
Probably not a lot this year. Probably 2.5 foot tall this year, type of a thing.
Still.
Yep, gets that stalks on and stuff. Like I drilled it, so at least I'll be able to identify it. I think here's your rows.
Yeah, here's your rows.
You know, and then.
But next year it should be.
Well, we'll see, because I have stuff that's a year ahead, so it should give us a pretty good growth projection there.
Yeah, and then I guess now knowing the kind of the process there, you'll be able to go in there and spray for cool seasons in March or April next year and just keep that clean.
Yeah. Looking good. In my mind, I'm pivoting back to my timber management in Ohio.
Well, I think the only other thing we talked about is your clethodim didn't kill the rye, didn't terminate rye.
Yeah.
So you are going to need
hasn't yet. I mean, it's been quite a while.
Not yellow or anything?
Yeah, some yellow.
Huh.
But like not toast by any means.
So, I mean, I guess you just mow it.
Because it's been over a month. I think it was mid-April that I sprayed.
Yeah, I mean, it should be wilted.
Yeah, I'm going to mow it is what I'm going to do.
I don't, like I told you, I mean, I've used clethodim for a lot. I don't know in retrospect if I've ever sprayed rye with cleth to terminate
It's supposed to kill it. Yeah, I mean,
it's a grass.
If you Google it, yeah, it's a grass. It's not the most effective method, but to kill it out of clover, it's the most effective that I know.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would know to do would be IMOX, and we've had that discussion of how effective that is.
Yeah.
So
I think what I'll do is I'm going to go and spread a little bit more seed in the stuff. If it seems sparse or it's getting overrun by that, choked out by that rye, and then I'll mow it.
Yep.
I'll just mow it all down to 8 inches.
Yep. That makes sense.
So, and everything, it's pretty clean of broadleaves. It's really just the brassica plots last year that I frost seeded with clover. The clover looks great, but the rye didn't get killed for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need to mow it.
Yeah, and it won't be long before we're talking about nuking our brassica plots.
Yeah. So I put all my brassica plots into clover.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's clover now.
Are you going to replace those into brassica at all?
For sure I will.
All of them or some of them?
Some of them. Yeah, but the clover gives me the option.
I mean, I put a lot of stuff into clover and alfalfa this year. Like in hindsight, like I don't have a ton of annual plots. Like, I mean, I can make them, right? I can terminate stuff, or if I want to take beans out of an area and put something in. But I think it really comes back down to the strategy on your farm. Like we've kind of talked about this before. Like, so my strategy in Kentucky is going to be September. Like that just seems when most of those bucks, like not that there isn't a shooter hanging around into the rut, but most of those bucks are on that property through September. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of start to disperse. Ohio, very similar. I got maybe to the second week of October. So I've got a lot. I had Matt drill those beans, and then I have a lot of clover plots that I think will be really hot that opening weekend of bow season into early October. Do I worry about brassica plots and stuff? I don't know.
I kind of treat it like it's more of a pressure decision for me. You know, it's like I won't put anything less than
pressure in terms of deer pressure or hunting pressure.
Deer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, browse pressure. Yeah, I just think despite I think it was Sturgis that said like clover is not that browse tolerant, which surprised me because I was like,
no, I think it is.
It is.
I mean,
in my experience,
it is until a certain point into the fall. Then
right.
its productivity dies off into the pressure. That's why it ends up looking like a green carpet. It's because they just mow it all down. Yeah. But in September and October, that stuff is actively growing.
Yeah, it's also way more shade tolerant. So than Nebraska. So I use it for smaller, more remote locations. I think it grows better in the shade and it is more browse tolerant. So I use those for all my like staging.
I think that's
small staging type plots. Anything over an acre, I feel more comfortable putting brassicas into.
Mm-hmm.
And those become full season plots the minute you put rye into them. You know, because they start hammering that stuff in September.
Yep.
So as soon as it starts coming up, they'll crush it.
Yep.
And that rolls right into when the brassicas really are attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it purely from like a flow and a like a pressure standpoint in terms of what kind of acreage is available.
Yeah, I think that's probably good because I don't have any. I mean, I do, but like I don't have many areas that I have an acre to plant.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all smaller. I do have a couple that are now in clover. My biggest thing is I'm in poor soils in Ohio. Like those ridge tops were in timber a year ago. So it's red, clay, not productive soils. Like it's going to take a while to build that topsoil layer back up and have some good organic matter. Not that I can't grow brassicas, but they surely aren't going to be super productive, and they definitely aren't browse tolerant. No. So in those small plots, I mean, we've talked about it. Has it been the last 2 years that we've had our brassica plots mowed because of the drought? It was for sure this year. You went in late, though, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Or you went back in?
Sorry, I was taking a drink there.
Yeah.
Last year, I had that failure, right? That wasn't this past year.
Where you seeded and it was like nothing grew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the year before last.
Yep. I think this past...
I've had good brassica plots both years.
I think this past year, I lost mine to drought because we were in a drought. And it started to come up really well, and then the deer jumped on them because of their water content in like September, and they were gone.
They have hammered them both years. Yeah, you're right about that. But I've been okay because I planted early. Like especially this past year, everything looked awesome because I planted July 15th.
Yep. And I think I was 2 weeks later, and that's the miss.
And I caught some timely rains.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, they hammered them in September.
Did you mow your brassica plots this past year?
No. I remember we talked about it, but there was no need.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a big one in terms of because I mean I like people ask us all the time like I like brassicas because of the tonnage it puts on like from an annual standpoint like obviously if you can produce good bulbs too but just the leaf matter itself like when you look at a full brassica plot it's like there's a lot of food in there especially if you end up putting some rye in there or you got some annual clover in there. The problem is that to your point the smaller it is it has no tolerance to browse. Like so when we caught that drought this year this was behind my house here in Pennsylvania. I've got an acre maybe a little less. I mean it was gone mowed to the ground.
Yeah, I think it's drought tolerant but it's to a certain point but it's
the deer pressure gets on top of it.
Yeah, they flock to it because of the water content, and so it's really hard on them.
Yep, and so that then ends up being the problem because if you get into mid to end of September, like you've got cereal grains. That's it.
Yeah,
like that's what you end up going. And
yeah, I mean, there's that seems to be just a nice progression that if you can keep up with it, it limits the need for herbicide, and it also just gives you some security. It's like anytime you plant a brassica plot. Put clover seed in it, and you're going to have a brassica crop that year, and plan to put rye down or wheat on September 1st with a hit of nitrogen, and you'll either have a really good brassica plot or you'll have a rye plot, and the following year you'll have clover going into either manage
spring,
or put back into whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's the one. I haven't had a ton of success. I mean, they definitely eat the cereal grains, but they. Again, smaller plots, if there's no other or the drought's in place, like they mow those things pretty hard.
Yeah.
Now you get good days and they'll like that cereal grain will actively grow, for.
You got to put a lot down.
A
I mean,
lot.
I'm putting like 200 to 300 pounds an acre down.
Yeah, it is a lot. And I did a winter wheat a couple years ago, and it was not nearly as effective as rye.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. It just didn't seem like it produced what it should have produced from a cereal grain standpoint. Like it looked like my yard, or my food plot looked like my yard. It was grass almost, and I don't know if it was just because they stayed on it so
That's
hard.
what they all look like.
Yeah, but not like. I mean, if you do a cereal grain right, you get 6-7 inch cereal grains coming up. But mine never did. It was like 2-inch grass the whole time.
Yeah.
So
they're just hammering
it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Like right now I'm in clover and I've got some rye to terminate. But the best years I've had behind the house here in Pennsylvania have been when I've been able to establish brassicas, and they didn't mow it in September. So come October and November, you've got a substantial brassica plot in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I had deer have had deer that definitely have like based their home range around, I'm trying to give them all three. It's like in my mind, if I can give them an annual, a perennial, and a grain plot in each kind of core area.
Yep.
Plus water, plus cover, all the other stuff. That's
makes sense.
That's what they need. So I'm looking at that as like one, micro environment. So or home range. So the more of those that I can establish, separate from each other, in theory, the more mature bucks I can hold.
Yep. No, and I think that's a really good plan. I mean,
as long as the food stays. That was my problem last year.
Yep.
I ran out of food. I don't know what happened, but like over the course of a week, my beans were gone. And it was like December. And
I'm really jumped on those things hard.
So fortunately, I had 3 acres of brassicas on that farm, in different acre and a half type plots. But by mid-January, those were all hammered too.
Yep.
So
those are the only, that main center part, those are the only beans that you're going to leave standing on the farm all year.
Yeah, I may, we have corn over on the Hinton this year that the farmer planted. I may see if I can buy back an acre or two from him.
Yeah.
Up by Jared and Margie stand.
Yep. Is there any other strategy to that? I'm just, obviously people listening to this know that, you've got a large farm and you basically have one standing grain plot on the whole farm. With all the open ground you have, is there a reason that you don't plant more standing grain?
Frankly, I feel like it's the only place that I can borderline protect.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
There just isn't anywhere else that I feel like is one, either worth investing the money into, because of the neighboring pressure, or two, that is far enough away from that.
So it's not necessarily a nutritional strategy as much as it is a protection strategy.
Oh, purely protection.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a nutrition thing. It's just well, I suppose it would be in the case, in some senses. Yeah, I'm neglecting the Hinton farm, the Carroll County farm,
right,
from a food standpoint,
right,
because I just don't expect to be able to hold deer there year to year.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
So I'm just not going to waste.
Because I mean, obviously, if you left standing grain in some of those other places, nutritionally it would help them, right? But they're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, they can be as well fed as you want. If they get shot in the face, like they're gonna die.
But that's the strategy: is that centerpiece that you have is to become a destination source to bring them into a more controlled environment.
Yeah,
makes
100%.
sense.
I'm just trying to centralize the food source and all of their daylight activity.
And what is that? That's 10 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a lot of food in 10 acres to bring them in.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, on that farm, there's 10, call it 50. So that part of it is 300 to 400 acres.
Yeah.
300 acres for 350, maybe 350 acres, maybe. And I've got that 10 acre bean field, probably 3.5 acres of brassicas, and probably 2 or 3 acres of clover on just that piece.
Because I was gonna say that's the big thing. Like if I'm reading comments and questions, a lot of them are like, how much food do you need to put on? And there is no blueprint for it, right? Like I think I did 7 acres of beans and 3 acres of corn in Kentucky, in addition to the 3 acres of clover and alfalfa I have out there. And like, they won't eat all that food, but it's because the deer density is low.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just not a lot of deer on that property. Whereas if I would go to your farm or my Ohio farm, the deer densities are high. In which case, like I expect, like on my Southern Ohio place, we'll see with the browse, but I fully expect my food plots all to be mowed by the end of the season. Like all the food to be consumed on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that you should base the decision on the number of deer that you have and prepare for worst case scenario. So like if your objective is to hold deer year round and from year to year,
you better have a lot of food.
You can't run out of food. You gotta have enough to sustain a herd. But there's a reality of decisions to be made when there's neighboring pressure involved. If like the likelihood of some of these deer getting killed is very high, then you may ask yourself, is it worth me? That's why I don't run a feeding program. It's like it's legal in Ohio to run feed and bait year round. I could run a protein supplement and grow some freaking monsters. The problem is like I was telling somebody the other day, it's like we've passed. I've got a 4-year-old this year, that temptation buck that probably will be
all over 60, I bet.
Yeah, mid-50s probably. Stud. You know what I mean? Big, framey 10-point and 12-point maybe, double split brows and stuff. He's awesome. And I've had, no joke, 10 of those deer over the past, 6 or 7 years that we've passed, and like not a single one of them has lived. So over time, the track record becomes like, hey, like, maybe don't pass those things. Like it's just what are we doing here? What's the point?
I mean that is the question though, because it's like yes.
And it also factors in like, hey, am I going to invest $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in a feed program to like get 10 or 15 more inches of antler out of each deer when it's just going to be throwing it down the drain?
I mean, where you would invest in a feed program is if that gave that deer another year. Then you'd invest in a feed program.
Oh, yeah.
If having feed on your property, like strategic feeding program on that property, kept him more on the property to get him, then you would do it.
Yeah, if I felt like it would do that.
Yeah, but you don't.
And it may. It's a cost barrier to entry.
Well, I was going to ask on that because it's
kind of an unknown.
We've talked about that 10-acre island, basically, right? Where you have the beans, you've got the water hole. Like that is the central destination that you're trying to pull deer in. Like, I mean, what if you dropped a 2,000-pound plus feeder there and you just kept it full all year long?
Mm-hmm.
Just that one.
Yeah. Oh, I've thought about it. I mean, that's where you do it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
It's still a cost investment, obviously, but in it doesn't, again, I'm not looking at it.
I think I probably would try it. I think if I had the feeder right now that could hold 10 or 20,000 pounds.
Yep. And just drop it
whatever.
There.
Yeah, I would drop it. I would go even, west of that. I'd probably put it, because you got to look at the physical and natural barriers, or man-made. Like a road, or if I can pull them towards, just away from pressure.
Yep.
Anything that pulls them into your core area and away from neighboring pressure is going to give you the best odds. Hypothetically.
Yeah.
So I'd put it in that ditch that runs,
It's an interesting thought process because I have too. Like I'm like,
I do think we should do that. I think we need to talk to Skip. I think we need to get some feeders on the docket here, and I think we need to. I'm not going to pay for like an Analogics, like a premium pellet necessarily.
But like just a standard 16% cattle feed mix of corn or something.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, or sweet feed mix of corn. Here's my thing is like I'm all, and I kind of did it last year. Like besides my mountain property in Kentucky, like I didn't really put out corn anywhere. Mm-hmm. I think I did for the kids on opening day in Ohio, but like I just can't keep up with it. I'm not there. My neighbors are dumping thousands and thousands of pounds. Like if I put out 600 pounds on a trip, like it's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to rely on my food plots being attractive. I'm trying to rely on my timber habitat being attractive. But if I could have a central located feeder that's 4,000, 6,000 pounds, and just in Kentucky, I can only feed half a year, but in Ohio, I could have it in an area where I could feed all year. That would seem like it would be a good opportunity to utilize it in the right way.
I think you're right, and I think we're idiots for not doing it, probably. I think I could sustain 2 of them.
The only reason I wouldn't do it, like right now, especially in Ohio, is I don't want to attract. I would put it in the bottom like down as like a destination. I don't want to attract more deer into that bottom where my beans can get mauled.
Yeah.
So I would wait until those are like either fenced really well and or coming up substantially before I bring more deer into that area.
I don't know if there would be a point to feeding year round, or if you just start in July.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
For instance,
I was thinking like July through January type of thing.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily giving them a nutritional benefit. It's just
honestly, the hardest part is like the access to like. I know it sounds pity, like, but it's like it's filling it. Like if it's, let's say it's 4,000 pounds. Right. I mean, in some cases, like those deer are going to eat that. I don't know. What's that last? A month? Maybe more. I don't know. Let's just say a month, and maybe that's crazy.
On the type of feeder and stuff.
Yeah, and where you're at. But let's say every month you've got like taking 2 tons of corn or other feed to that thing to load that feeder up that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be nice if you had one of those, you know, little carts that you can bring in with the, you know, to fill it up. That's how a lot of those guys are doing it, like in Texas and Oklahoma and stuff. You know, for us, it's like, even if I had 2 tons of feed delivered to the farm, like I'm loading those up in the Ranger and driving them out there and dumping them in and I mean, it's going to take 10 trips, which and I say that purely from an accessibility standpoint, because I think we've talked about, like in my Kentucky farm, I would love to put one down like in the holler, like it's essentially hub located down there.
Yeah, you just have to build a road you'd have to pull a trailer in there.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, trips in and out, it would take forever to do it.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't. I would hook the trailer up to the tractor and just drive it out there and do it all.
Yep.
A 2-man job, probably. I mean, ideally.
Yeah, just because of how much time it takes, but. You know, and I guess if you but even that is almost defeating the purpose. Like, I don't want to have to feed that thing once a month. I want to feed it twice during that whole 6-month period.
Yeah, I mean, the less the better.
Yeah, I just want it to do its thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
I think we think about that one.
I treat it as like, I think it was Danker when we were talking to him, of where he's like, I have those out. They're essentially like a destination food source. I don't hunt them.
It's just an anchor for the core area.
I'm hunting them on their way to it, right? It's not that I'm not using the feeder to my advantage, but they're going to it as a destination source before they go to bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I'm just getting in between where they're coming from, and I know they're going to that.
Yeah.
And that's how I hunt them.
It would be interesting. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see if you drop one. We'd never hunt it, ever. Yeah, I don't think. I'd put it in an area fairly inaccessible from hunting standpoint. I'm not as worried about access and stuff. It's just going to have a road in there to fill once a month type of a thing. And just monitor the surrounding area. And obviously you're going to have a camera on it and just see how close can you hold a group of deer to it. And, you know, ideally a specific mature buck.
Yeah.
You know where I'd put one is probably right in no man's land there. Mm-hmm. Pretty close, like even by that west wind. Perfect by the west wind, because it's not a good wind. It's not accessible to hunt there. They're going to feel perfect.
And they're all bedded right there.
Yeah.
And it's just a destination. And they're not, people get the
mindset. And that's far from pressure. You know what I mean? They can live there.
People think like, okay, well, yeah, but then they're not going to move. They're still going to move. Like, they're going to feed on that, and they're still going to travel the farm. They're still going to do their routine. They're treating it as a destination food source. Mm-hmm. And I mean, whether in
a way, I do still think that they want to go to big open areas to socialize and cruise.
They're a social animal.
They just do. Whether there's food in it or not. I mean, ideally there is, but they want to get out to a big open space at night and just walk and just be able to see for a long
cover
distance.
Ground.
In ag areas, you know what I mean? They don't have that in big timber hollers.
But they're still covering ground. They're checking scrape lines and stuff. I will say, this week with this rain, the amount of
scrape activity
off the charts.
Like it's freaking late October.
Yeah, one of the ones I've got here on public, I'm like, I've had like 9 or 10 different bucks hit. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And all of them, like, head
that vine scrape I keep sending you? Yeah. 5 or 10 a day.
Yeah.
Deer, does,
all of that
bucks.
moisture just activating all that scent in the ground and everything. And
they love it.
Yeah, they've been really and so I say that because this is a really good time to evaluate. Like, if you do have cameras running on a scrape, like I've got a couple scrapes that I thought were community scrapes. They're not. There's not. It's empty. Nobody's there. But then there's other scrapes that are just hammered. Those are the ones that all year I'm going to be on.
Yeah.
I just want to see how that is going to build. I've got deer coming up to them now where I'm like, that deer might be a shooter this year.
Yeah. I love those vine scrapes have just done so well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Way better than the rope scrapes, frankly. You know, we mess with some of that. It just, I don't think it's stiff enough for them, frankly. I think they like something with they like something with a little bit of rigidness to it. You know what I mean? So they can get their glands on it and stuff. I love not that there's anything wrong with a branch. You know what I mean? If you do like the a fence post and a branch out of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they like that, but they get brittle and they die, and eventually they lose all their leaves and stuff. So those are fine for a time, but I almost would lean towards like a nunchuck style. You know what I mean? Like you and I put those fence posts in there the other day. I would almost prefer to walk out there with like have a pre-made broomstick.
Yep.
With some kind of
vine.
a dangler, a vine hanging from it, and then just go out and screw that right in, and you're good to go. Just count on the vine.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's just what they're getting their glandular, their forehead and preorbital sense on and stuff. And I mean,
I think those vines have a better flow, like the xylem phloem, whatever structure they have in there. Like it drips water, like it holds moisture more consistently than a branch.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big one now. And I mean, hard to go out there and find them now because you're not necessarily seeing like a wide open kicked in scrape like you are in October and November. But these are the ones where throughout the season, if you've kept in mind or you marked on one of your mapping programs or whatever, you know, if you're thinking about starting to put cameras out now, like it's a good time to do it. And those are the ones you don't have to start them. You don't have to do anything. They're already crushing them. But it's a great inventory tool, especially in the big woods. Like it's one thing when you're monitoring fields and food plots and stuff like that. But in the big woods, when you don't have that stuff, that is the monitoring tool to be able to get inventory.
Yeah.
That's all you got. So, but yeah, man, it's cool. Like, you know, all of that is starting to like, you can hear in our voices changing to, we're coming up on hunting strategy in the not too long future. Yeah. Through the puberty of the off season.
Prepubescent June months.
Yeah. So, I mean, it
starting to see some velvet on my balls.
Well, I mean, we were, little fuzz growing, little peach fuzz.
Peach.
We were talking about, you know, Lone Wolf just released the Patriot series.
Yeah.
So now we've got our stands now that we can go out there and set for the season essentially.
Yeah.
So like all of this stuff over the next 4 to 6 weeks,
it's gonna get crazy.
It's gonna get crazy.
Yeah. I'm going. So I mean, feel free to jump in wherever you want. I'm gonna go back to Illinois mid-June, get that mow stuff done, meet with Cade and spray our beans. I want to try to get out to Kansas, I think.
You do?
For like a 2-dayer.
What?
Just want to spend time. I just want to go and hook up with Roger and see if there's anything we can do to help from a scout, a prep thing. I want to see if I can have Mick meet us there. I think we're trending towards like maybe next year. So he didn't draw this year, but he, you know, I mean, he may benefit from that situation too. So talked about having him come out and meet us there. So whether you want to come for that or not, it's not
just a timing thing.
We could just fly out. We could fly out for 2 days. We'll have to look at the schedule, but like early, late July, like July seems like the month probably to do that.
Mid-July won't work because we're going to Utah and Montana.
That's July. Mid-July. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So there's 4 or 5 days we're gone there.
What about like August 1st?
Potentially the next week is Lone Wolf thing.
The 16th.
No,
the 9th. You're right.
Yeah. So that might be tight. Yeah. Weekends are going fast. Unfortunately.
It'd have to be a weekend.
Or weeks in general.
I could do a weekday.
Yeah.
July, what is that, the 16th?
15th to the 18th or 19th.
So maybe like a week or two after that.
That's August 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're running out of days quickly.
Maybe somewhere right in there.
Yeah, we'll see.
That'd be the idea. You'd go earlier, but probably later.
Does he want us to come out?
I'm sure he'd love to have us out.
Have you talked to him about it?
No.
I don't know if he would.
I do.
I mean, I don't think he'd be opposed to it. I just don't necessarily know if he would. It's his business.
He'd love to have us out. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Go help him move some cameras around, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just moral support more than anything. Go out and.
Is it just your OCD of like what you're getting into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
Yeah, it's a trust factor thing.
In a good way. Not a trust factor. I think it's just a the more we put in, I think on the front end here, I think the better it will be.
It will be interesting. So this will be I've never hunted with an outfitter before.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting because there's quite a bit of guys coming in before us.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how many, but
20, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like first cracks necessarily.
Right.
At some stuff, but
right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll be awesome. I'm stoked to like have a place and food and dad's taken care of and yeah.
Yep, it'll be a good situation.
Yeah, should be good. He's locking down. Is he planning anything? Did they plan anything down there?
I think he works with the farmers to leave some stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It'll be all happening pretty fast here in the next 2 months. For sure.
Yep.
For sure. Cool. Anything else we got to talk about?
Nope. That's it for today.
Yeah. No, I think we're good. Crops, seeds in the ground. That was the big one.
Yep.
Been working.
Just mowing at this point.
Working hard to get that in, and we've caught some timely rains here, so I assume germination's happening and getting ready to roll, and now it's just continuing to catch some timely rains throughout the summer, and crops will be growing at this point. I think we all have some minerals out already at this point. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a wait game now. I mean, there's stuff to do, but it's like we kind of finally finished that big rush, which was like things had to be done at specific times to maximize it.
Yeah. Well, we got all that grain, and the grain is a big one. I mean, that's the most acres that we're planting there and stuff, and the switch went in at the same time. So, I mean, dude, it's unending. It's like we got stands to pull and move probably, and
I got a bunch of cameras to pull on the mountain that I shut off.
When to do,
and I just haven't gone back in.
I brought a whole box of cameras back from the farm the other day to just kind of
get together,
start sorting through and stuff, and getting that all pulled back together.
Crazy how fast it goes on a lot of that stuff, but it'll. Yeah, before we know it, we'll be into it here in July and August, and I mean at that point we're ripping.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. That's a lot accomplished in the last 2 weeks for sure, from a plant side and on all the farms really. So now it's just kind of maintaining some stuff and just hoping that we catch the right weather. And other than that, that's about where we're at for the week.
Maybe we should buy another farm or two in the meantime.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. The right one.
I don't know why I've got that bug right now.
I don't know. You got money burning a hole in your pocket or something.
Maybe. I don't know if that's it or not. It just seems like, just feels right.
Yeah.
Feels like the time. We've had our farm now for 2.5 years. Right? 2 years?
It'll be 2 years in September.
Yep. Year and a half then.
Yep. So 2 years in September.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, and we've got good equity in it, and that's the key to buying the next one is to leverage your equity.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have to bring full 20% to the table every time if you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, you just see how much comes from like the one farm, and granted, it's not. You know what I mean? We gotta make the payments. Make the payments in the meantime here, but I feel more acclimated with the cost benefit analysis, you know what I mean, of like in terms of time to hold them, and what we're getting out of just the one that we do have. I'm like, you could have another one, and it's like, all right, here's what that would look like from an expense standpoint, and you can't keep them both forever, type of a thing. So
sure, yeah. I mean, the cool thing.
I'm more okay with that now. I think
the cool with seeing that farm is, I mean, one, we got it under market value, which is a huge help. So we had instant equity. We've improved it.
That's everything, dude. It's like if you find a property in a good deer area under market value, you're an idiot not to buy it. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the only way you win right away on a property.
Yeah.
Is it because if you pay market value, you do what Winky says, which is you stop it. You stop it from continuing to creep up and slipping away from you. But if you buy it at market value, you don't have any equity in it at that time. Now you can improve it.
Well, you do, but the amount that you put into it, but not no free equity.
No free equity. And so you can improve it, and you can gain free equity via improvements, free lightly, but If you buy it under market value and you can improve it, which is what we've done on our farm because it was completely raw, that's where you've got big gain opportunity to potentially buy another farm and or roll it or whatever you end up doing.
Well, I've just been tainted, I think, to that approach because I know most guys don't know what they're doing. Like, I just don't trust most people to have made the improvements that make it worth $7,200 an acre as opposed to $6,500 an acre. It's like, you went in and put some clover plots in, or
put a box blind and a gate, got
some pictures. Put a gate on it. Like, cool. And I know all that stuff. It takes work, but it's not. It's not. So I'm not going to be the guy to buy that farm from many people. You know what I mean? There's a few guys who I know what they're doing. It's like if Skip fixes up a farm and gives us still a fair market value price, and hey, maybe I don't get okay. Now we're talking.
Yeah, but few and far between. Yeah, it's a hard thing, and I think a lot of it too is that we like having a raw farm and turning it into something.
Yeah,
like if you get a turnkey farm. First of all, I don't think you're getting it under market value.
Right. You're definitely not.
You're paying at or above market value for turnkey.
Yep.
And then, you've got a turnkey farm, and so there is no off-season. There is, but it's not as substantial in off-season work. You don't have the artistic ability to design it how you want to design it. It kind of it lays out how it lays out, So
there's still work to be done, but it's like the blueprint is the hard part. It's like. Designing it and carving out the framework for how the flow of the farm is going to work and how it's going to hunt. I mean, that's where the real value is at in a turnkey piece.
And the stages are different too. Like, I'm not saying go out and buy 40 acres of solid timber because you're going to have a lot of money in opening up areas to have food plots and things like that. So, I'm not saying don't buy it either, because you can make something happen on 40 acres of timber, but
some of those can have the highest profit margin depending on the timber value.
Timber value. Yeah. So you just have to anticipate what you're getting into and understand that and start small and build equity and either sell it and roll it or leverage equity. I mean, that's the only way most of us can buy multiple farms is leveraging equity. We're not making enough money to continue to just go out there and buy properties. Like, we have to leverage the equity in existing ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, So, I mean, there's always opportunities to continue to look at. Yes, the interest rates suck right now, but from everything that I'm seeing, they're not going to get any better in the next 3 years. So I would anticipate you're still going to be paying north of 6% in interest rate 3 years from now, but I bet you're paying $500 to $1,000 an acre more 3 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So weigh that in your brain when you're thinking about, well, I'll just wait till interest rates come down. I don't think that's going to be the smart decision. So, but, just don't outpunt your coverage and live within your means and make sure that you can afford it, because that's the critical part in it. So
also, you only live once. Freaking go for it.
As long as you can pay for it.
You can always sell it. That's what I'm saying. If you can get it for under market value.
The sell thing is an interesting one. I don't know. And again, it's because I haven't sold anything, so I don't know. They always can sell it. I mean, that's a gamble because there has to be the buyer for it.
Life's a gamble. There's a buyer for it.
Yeah.
Well, you and I have had, I think, six or seven legitimate inquiries that would pay what we're asking for on our farm.
Yeah. It's a good farm. That's why.
Yeah.
If you're getting out of it, there's a bit of a red flag for me when people are selling farms. I'm like, okay, well, why? Like, if it's good, like, why are you selling it? Maybe it's financial, maybe it's change of life, whatever.
I think they're out there. You and I are just like, we live in such our world, which is like, why would you ever sell a farm? From if you're trying to achieve this goal with deer hunting or whatever, but like, there's a lot more than that out there. I mean, There's people in a lot of situations.
Oh yeah, life changes.
Life change. Yeah,
it's a big one.
I mean, dude, most people, 99% of people are not of the mindset that we are. They may be aware of like the deer hunting aspect and the market that they're in there, but it's not going to be the reason that they hold a farm forever.
No. If you have a good one, I don't know if I'd let that one go.
Yeah. Well, we probably wouldn't. But it has to be a situation where it's like the market drivers are, in the situation, the timing was that a guy like you and I ended up with it.
Sure.
Then they won't sell for a long time probably if they are the farms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless they're rolling into something bigger, which I have seen come up more and more often as people
roll into bigger, roll into closer to home. You know, I mean, there's always a bigger fish. Somebody comes in there like, hey, I love that farm. I'll pay anything you're asking for it.
Yep. No, everything's for sale at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Well, we appreciate everybody listening, and we will catch y'all next week.
Farm Companion.
Take me